Today we are at Express Newark with Ms.Tamika
Thomas.
Darden-Thomas. The date is August 13th, 2024, and my name is Joseph Luna, and I'm with um,
Express North.
Express Newark. What's your name?
I am Ms.Tamika Darden-Thomas, Newarks baby.
So, where and when were you born?
I was born in the south border of Newark in 1975.
What was it like around that area?
It was different. It was more community oriented where people looked after each other. You could get 2 to 3 beatings before you got home if you did something wrong, where you guys wouldn't stand for that now. Years ago, other people's parents could chastise you if you did something wrong. So it was a village raising a village.
Has your family always lived in Newark, like your grandparents and stuff?
Yes. My grandmother came from Wilson, North Carolina, and when she got here, she raised all her children right here.
What schools did you attend, and how was your experience there?
Okay, so I actually got kicked out of school in the 7th grade, Maple Avenue, Big Maple is what they called it, for fighting. So rough around the edges. So I went to St. Michael's, Good Counsel, Ivy Hill School, across the street from Ivy Hill, Little Maple, St. James A&E was my first preschool, but then I got kicked out of Maple for fighting, and I ended up graduating from Mattawan by way of California because I was a freshman in high school and a freshman in college at the same time as a track star in Sacramento, California. So I kind of turned around my roughness from Newark and tried to do something positive with my life.
How do you think newer schools could have been improved from your time when you were there?
We had certain teachers. If there was more teachers like Miss Russell, she was my 7th grade teacher. Miss Dean was my 6th grade teacher, but Miss Russell was younger and she was more hands on. We were Miss Russell's first class and we gave her hell. I actually just buried my best friend from high school. She was a teacher at Central High. She was a coach at Central High School for over 10 years, Saida O'Brien. We were best friends in Maple and we terrorized the school till we got ourselves together. But we thank God for a teacher like Miss Russell because she never gave up on us. And that's what's needed, teachers that are just not going to give up because you don't know what the youth are going through at home. So you don't know what they need from you by the time they get to school. Sometimes it's not just learning lessons. Sometimes it's love. Sometimes it's a hug. Sometimes you need to be talked to. Because, people don't always want to listen to their parents, but it's that one teacher that you could respect because she really cares about me. So I think that we need more teachers like Miss Russell. And she actually retired, so I'm praying for y'all.
What challenges have you faced within your community, and in what ways did you overcome them?
Challenges. Okay, so murder was the first case given to me. My father was murdered when I was 5.5 years old. And what I did was I started honoring men in the community in his honor. Um, I have been a victim of childhood molestation, child abuse, teenage suicide attempts. I've been through it. So I thank God for my grandmother letting me know that there is a God and it's real. It's a personal choice, but it's real. It's real. And God truly kept me because after my father was murdered, I like to say I was misunderstood. So I lashed out. I fought. I didn't want to be bothered. I was angry and I didn't know how to express it. So I thank God growing up and just understanding everything that I went through, that God kept me through. I said, somebody needs my story so that they can get through, to know that you can get through. Some people don't make it out. Like I told you, I tried to take my own life twice as a teenager. Once I was 12, 13, and the next time I was 21. My son was 6 months. And looking back, I would have missed my son's whole life if I would have done that because I needed somebody to talk to. I know that was a lot, but you guys go through a lot, and you guys don't have anybody that you can really relate to say, they talk a good one, but did they really go through this? Because that's how I was. You can't really tell me anything if you haven't been through it, because how do you know? You're just having educated synopsis guesses. You guessing. I need somebody that has been through this, that came on the other side, and that can let me know this is what you need to do so that you can get through. And the first thing is trusting God.
Newark has a budget of $900 million. Do you think that our city reflects that amount of money?
What you mean?
Like, do you think we have the stuff that we need with
No.
that money?
I think that we could do more.
In what ways?
All of them. Housing, education, different things set up for you guys. There's a lot more that can be done. And I'm willing to sit with you guys to pick your brains to see what y'all think. Because you guys are our present and our future. So my thing, and I've always said this for years, I'm in between because I'm your elder, but I'm still very youthful. So I'm the bridge in between the youth and the seniors because I'm not 50 yet. I got one more year. But I can still relate to you, and I can very much relate to them. We need that bridge to be able to connect us. Is that making sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
What similarities and differences do you see between downtown Newark back then versus now?
What similarities?
Yeah.
It's changing. The city is changing. It looks different. Newark was always known for its businesses. Years ago, there were so many black businesses, so that's a different change that we don't see. Springfield Avenue, Avon Avenue, Clinton Avenue, Chancellor Avenue, all those were black-owned businesses. We took pride in our city. And after the riots in 67, 68, we tore our city up. And the ones that had to bear the brunt of that is us. So we kind of like ruined it for us, but Newark always had it going on. So we just got to get it back there. So the new buildings are okay, but I think that we could refurbish a lot of the old buildings. They're still good. Instead of just doing away with stuff because it's old, some things you can rehash, refurbish, and make it bright again versus the material, because back then they used different materials. If you check stuff out, the stuff they're using now is cheap.
So do you think Newark is still recovering from the riot?
We still are. We very much are. All these years later, that was 67, 68, we're in 2024. We still are. More so mentally. If you look down Bergen Street, Springfield Avenue, and the main streets, you'll see a lot of the businesses that used to be there. There's still a face of them, but they're just worn down. So yeah, we're still recovering.
How do you think public housing has changed over time?
It could be better. Public housing for me, just the basis of it separates the family. So it's a yay and a nay. Because if we're trying to promote families, mother, father, and children with public housing, you really can't have that because they don't want the man to be in the house if the government is going to help take care of the household, not realizing that the man is very much needed. I'm a mother, so I'm needed. But a father is needed just as much. So with the public housing, it can be better. I'll say that. It can be better.
How did the crack epidemic make... Oh, wait. How do you think Newark was impacted when it was introduced to crack cocaine?
Oh my goodness. The impact was detrimental. And it's crazy because I'm working on my story. My first nickname was Baby Bundles because they used to hustle out of my stroller years ago. So I was very much a part of, okay, because I was a baby. Not that I had anything to do with it because I was a baby, but they used me as a baby, my teenage uncles, because they didn't want to go to jail. So who would check a baby? All right? So I was a part of this game that went viral. And it was really a downfall. And I'm getting ready to educate y'all on something because people always say that the drug dealer is the man. I was like, that's the man. You know who the real man is?
Mm.
The person coming to buy the drugs. You would never think that, would you? Because you would think they're a crackhead, they're a fiend. Guess what? The person that's selling the drugs wouldn't make any money if the person that was coming to buy the drugs didn't come buy it. So who's the man? You understand? The person that's coming with the money to get the product. That's the man. So when you start to really dissect, and this is why school is so important for y'all, and there's a lot of things we'll never need that again. Certain things you'll never use outside of school, but the basics you're always gonna need. And you just break stuff down.
What differences do you see between drugs within white and black communities?
I think that is publicized in the black communities more than the white communities, but I think that they do more drugs in the white communities than they do in the black communities, honestly. But it's more publicized for us, which is not a good thing, but that's just how the world has been set up.
What do you do for your career?
Well, right now, I work at the courthouse for the last almost 2 years. I prepare the calendars for the judges when they have court sessions. So my position is vital because if I don't do my work, the judge can't do his work because I'm the one that provides the work for the judge. But before that, I am a community leader. That's for life. I can't seem to get away from that. I was a legislative aide 2 years ago for the Westward councilman. I worked in the reentry. I worked with the youth. I started off with the youth years ago. There's actually an article, Newark community leader gives away her own money. God blessed me to be able to bless almost 11 youth
I saw that earlier.
some years ago, So my thing is to be able to give back for real, not just to talk about it, but to really be able to look y'all in your face and say, I helped. I made a difference. Some of my youth now, one is an officer for Newark Police, one works for Newark Housing, one works for Newark City Hall. 4 of them are in college. So I'm so proud that I was able to jump in and help a little bit, but it made a big impact in their lives.
What inspired you to get involved with the community in the way you do?
My dad, because I was young when he was murdered, and I had questions. And my family really couldn't answer my questions because my dad was the numbers man, but he was private. So the family really wouldn't know but so much. The streets told me just about everything it was that I needed to know. That's why you have to be mindful how you live. And let me go back to Shabazz High School. When I first started my father's celebration for the Gregory Thomas Foundation in honor of my dad, Gregory Thomas, I went to Shabazz High School and they opened up the vaults for me, like what you guys are doing for the vaults. They opened up the vaults and I had to look for my daddy in the high school yearbooks. And I was so proud because he was the man. He was all-star. He was a track star. He took them to the Penn Relays in 76, I think. Between, no, 72, if I'm not mistaken. Took them to the Penn Relays. He was a flipper back with the gymnastics. So I am really my father all over again in female form. But as a child, I didn't understand that. Remember, I told you I graduated from Mattawan. I went to school in California. My father's spirit brought me back to Newark because for me, if I'm going to help the community, if I'm going to give back, I have to give back to where I came from. I came from Newark. My father's sweat, blood, and tears is in this city. And that's who he was. When he did his numbers, I was told people like to play with him because if they won $500, he was honest. So when he saw you, you got your $500. He didn't take a cut like some other folks did. So that's where jealousy and envy came in because I want to play with the honest man so I can get all my money because it was for the community. So I'm just reliving the dream that my father started to help rebuild his community.
Have you, in your jobs throughout the years, have you experienced any sexism or racism towards you? Or seen it?
Absolutely. Oh, wow. So years ago, I worked for the Occupational Center in Orange. And I resigned because I thought that I had this great opportunity with this law firm. And Hackensack, which will remain nameless. I didn't realize until after I started the position that the attorney was only filling a quota because he had to have so many African American on his staff. And when she told me that, it was like, I don't know how long you're going to stay. And I'm like, are you serious? People do this? So, yeah, people hire folks just because of the color of their skin so that they can make a quota. And I got caught up in it. And I was there for maybe a month. I'm a sponge, so I learned as much as I could. But the level of disrespect to that, like you only hired me because I was black. And now you're getting ready to let me go because I'm black? Like, it's real. So, yeah, it happens. The worst is when we do it to each other.
Yeah. How has poverty impacted education and other essentials within your community?
How has poverty impacted education and other essentials? Because if you are in poverty, it's hard to think. Can you think if everything around you is just upside? That's just like being hungry. It's hard to learn if you're hungry because instead of listening to the teacher that's giving you the lesson, you're listening to your stomach that's talking to your back. And you're like, I don't want to be here. I can't think. So one plays a part. But one hand washes the other and both wash your face. If you are in poverty and you're hopeless, what do you have to look up for? That's what brings me back to God. At the end of the day, God is real. It's a personal relationship. God goes by over 10,000 names, so none of us could be wrong. It's a personal relationship. But what you guys, and I say you guys meaning the youth, you guys really need to know that he's real. Because my generation and the generation before mine kind of messed up the viewpoint of God for some people because a lot of people are in it for money. They're in it for power, not just for the realness that God wakes you up every morning. God can heal you. God can provide whatever it is that you need, not knowing if you trust him and you really just sit and trust and wait, God is going to come through. But you have to believe it. So with this, if we can fix poverty, because I'm so scared, not even scared because I know God, but I'm just concerned that America wants everyone to be homeless. Because if you look at inflation, everything is going up except for what people are getting paid. Did you see that? And then as soon as they raise minimum wage, they raised everything else. They raised the rent, they raised everything else. So just because you're making a couple extra dollars, you're never going to see it because everything else has now went through the roof. So all those extra dollars that you were making, now you got to pay it out. So what are you making? Now you're back at poverty. Do you see the effect?
Yeah. All right. So that includes our interviews for today.
Well, I thank you guys for taking out time to interview me. I want to speak life into each one of you to continue to encourage you. You guys are our future. You are some sharp young individuals. You understand? These skills that you are learning, people get paid a lot of money to do this stuff. But once you guys get it here, nobody can take it from you. You understand? Nobody. You understand? So thank y'all.
Thank you.
And God bless you.
Sharing your story.
Yes.